Good afternoon and welcome to the John R. Tater Auditorium here at City Hall. And this afternoon we are hosting MassDOT. And under MassDOT comes Mass Aeronautics, MBTA, Mass Highway, the old Mass Highway, which is now MassDOT, and the Registry of Motor Vehicles. And they're with us today talking about career paths and jobs. And our goal is to help the residents of the city understand better the opportunities and career paths at MassDOT. I'm one of the directors for MassDOT. It's been a really good experience for me to learn more about the system, but this is even a part that is just sometimes invisible, where people just don't realize you can actually have a job running a train or being part of security or an engineer. And so we're happy today. Lisa Maroney is here, our economic developer, and hosting MassDOT. And we are happy to have Sheila Mulcahy. She's the recruit manager, human resources, Mass Department of Transportation. Catherine Chabot is the recruitment coordinator for human resources at Mass Department of Transportation. And then we have Jamie Gray, who's the service center manager at Leominster MassDOT Registry of Motor Vehicles, which will be opening up their new location down in the south side of town very soon. And then Carmen Ramirez, resident engineer. When I say resident, I mean resident for District 3 construction. So, Sheila?
So just to kind of give you a little bit of an overview on MassDOT, I think that a lot of people maybe think of it strictly as the highway or strictly as the RMV, or maybe still think of it as the turnpike, and there's been all sorts of different iterations of the organizations that are a part of it. So to give a little bit of background, in 2009, MassDOT was formed. It put together a bunch of organizations that were previously separate from each other. So right now, we consist of some major divisions, which are the Highway Division, that's our largest, and that includes the Turnpike now, so it's all one. We have the Registry of Motor Vehicles, which comes in a close second in terms of the amount of people that we have there. And then we also have a couple of smaller divisions. One is Aeronautics. The Aeronautics division is very small in terms of the amount of employees that we have there, because they only cover municipal airports. So when you think of Logan or you think of Worcester, those are all going to be Massport, because they do a lot more work in terms of different planes and stuff coming in from out of state and possibly even out of the country, depending on which airport you're talking about. So we just deal with the municipal airports, so that's any of your smaller town airports. People who have, planes as a hobby, that kind of stuff, that's going to be what we're dealing with there. And then the other smaller piece that we have is our Rail and Transit division. So Rail and Transit deals with the rail and transit outside of Boston. So there's the MBTA that deals with the Boston, greater Boston area. They have that big system. But Rail and Transit is going to be dealing with any of your regional transit authorities, stuff like that, to make sure that they get the resources they need from the federal government to keep their services up to date. Then beyond that, we need to support all of those divisions. So we have a lot of business support that's located at our headquarters in Boston. So that includes human resources, where I work. That includes our legal counsel, our finance department. We have a real estate department, because we have so many different parcels all around the state. They have to manage those. We have a very large facilities management department. It's called General Services. I'm not sure how it got to be called that way, but it's facilities management. That's what they do, because you have to manage all those different facilities around the state. So when you think of the changes that have been happening at the RMV, I don't know I'm not sure exactly, since Leominster's moving to a new location, no one's seen that one yet, but a lot of the different locations across the state have been renovated, and that's all been working with the facilities management team in Boston. So soon enough, we'll be able to see the changes for Leominster. That would be nice. So there are 3,600 employees total, around close to right now, that we have for MassDOT, and all of those people are working in some shape or form to keep people moving across the state, and most importantly, keep people moving across the state safely. We work with the MBTA. The MBTA reports to the same secretary. They do have their own human resources office, but I work with them closely. They're in the same building. We have meetings every other week to keep informed of what the other office is doing, and we share information. So if you call me and you ask me about an MBTA job, I don't necessarily have access to the exact computer system I need to be able to answer that question for you right away, but I can definitely make sure that I find someone who can do that for you. So that's a little bit of a difference there. So that's a bit of an overview. What we're going to do today is we're going to hear from some employees that work for MassDOT. Specifically, we have employees from the Registry of Motor Vehicles and from the Highway Division, especially where in this area we know that we have those locations available. So I wanted to invite them up to talk a little bit about how they got to working with MassDOT and how they've enjoyed it so far, maybe how it's different than working for the private sector, and they can also answer any questions you might have specifically about where they work. I think at the end, myself and my coordinator, Catherine, we're going to talk more about the application process, so if you have any of those kind of questions, let us kind of get through our presentation afterwards, and we might answer some, or you'll have the opportunity to ask them at that point, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so I want to invite Jamie up. She is our service center manager for Leominster, and she can talk about her work there, and I'll ask some questions.
Hello.
So, Jamie, can you just talk about how long you've been working there and how you found out about working for the R&B and what the hiring process was like for you?
Okay, I have started working at the registry for 3 years. I found it online. I'm just on job boards looking for employment, and if you apply through the online portal, and that's how you get the call back as well.
So, what's your experience been like working for the registry, especially with all the changes?
It's busy. It's busy every day. What can I say? I have a retail background, and I said the biggest difference that I had every day when I was trying to bring in business. How are you going to have people come to your door and make your numbers? Well, every day I have 500 people lined up. It's just a really, you don't have to worry about them coming. They're going to come.
That's true. So, in terms of the changes that we've been trying to make to improve our service time and things like that, how has it been working with the registry team to try and make those improvements?
It's been a lot of changes for the registry. We have service level goals now that we didn't have before. They have wait time goals. That's our big goal, is to get everyone in and out as quickly as possible. But we talk about customer service now that we didn't talk about before, which really fills into my retail end of things. It's all about customer service. Some transactions are not quick, and it's just going to be getting busier and busier. There's a lot of emphasis on identifications and obtaining them and all the documents you need to have. So we have a new process when you come in. You look at all that before we have you actually sit and wait with a ticket. So if you don't have your stuff, you didn't wait for an hour and just to be told you couldn't be helped. So we take some more time up front before you have to wait. And that's been great. People, I get a lot of compliments. We have someone right at the door directing you where to go, and then you have another person to explain what you're looking at and what you need. So you probably see 3 people before you even get to the counter.
So then finally, what are you looking for as a hiring manager yourself? What are you looking for in potential customer service?
Friendly, patient, empathetic, and then also fast. You have to be able to move quickly. You're going to learn all the transactions. It's all just stuff that we all learn, and you'll be learning constantly. There's always something new that happens or changes that come. So that's always constant moving and learning on the job. And there's lots of experience there with a lot of friendly, helpful people. Like I said, I'm here for years. They tell me all the time the procedures. I'm doing the management side, that they know the ins and outs of how to do it. So you'll learn that stuff as you go. But what you bring to the table, your personality and your skill set of customer service.
And how about any opportunities for growth? You come in as an entry-level customer service representative.
We do have a path. There's the CSR 2 to a 3 to a 4 now. So a CSR2 is a supervisor level. They handle the cash and closeouts at the end of the day. A CSR3 moves up another level of supervisor, and then a CSR4 is the assistant manager. Some locations have that position now.
Does anybody have any specific R&D related questions?
Where's this moving? Where is it located?
We are moving right at the edge of Leominster Sterling line. As you go, it's still on Route 12, and it's next to the LKQ Auto Parts, the junkyard or junk parts store right there. There's a new professional center. Right inside, we're the only building, Southgate Business Park, we're the only building there. It's about 2,000 more square feet. It's really pretty.
Anyone else?
All right, you're welcome.
So next I'm going to invite up Carmen. She's one of our engineers from the D3 office. So to give a little bit of background on the highway, so our highway districts are split up by different geographic locations. So D3 is located in Worcester, that's the headquarters, but we have some depots sort of in and around the general area. We have 6 districts total with the headquarters as well in Boston. So it pretty much goes as far west as we go as 1, you get a little closer as 2, 3 is going to be the Worcester area, and then you're getting into 4, 5, and 6 are all North Shore, South Shore, and then Boston and Greater Boston are District 6, and then we just have our headquarters there as well. And headquarters works with all the different districts. A little background, but there are depots throughout those sections as well.
Hello, Carmen Ramirez. I work in the construction department in District 3. Like Jill explained, we have the 6 districts. 1 and 2 is total to the west. 3 and 4 kind of central Mass, and 5 is down the Cape, and then we have District 6 and the headquarters down in Boston. My job it's the job of the resident engineer. I'm in charge of overseeing construction projects. I've been working for the department for 13 years now, and I started as a lower level of civil engineer, graduated with a civil engineering degree as a civil engineer 1. I'm a civil engineer 3. So there is a path growth. There is a lot of on-the-job learning. This is one of our busiest construction seasons ever since I've been in the department. If you drive around, you can definitely tell there is a construction project going everywhere. We not only take care of the construction of new bridges and roads, we do the maintenance of the bridges too. All the roads, many of the state roads are handled in the construction area. We take care of the maintenance of the snow and ice removal and treatment during the winter too. So it's a big department within the organization. Construction is kind of, where things get done.
So, can you talk about how you ended up working for MassDOT? How did you find out about the opportunities?
Right. I worked for consultants for a number of years. I started when I first graduated working for a contractor in New York. There were a few consultants there. The team working with a consultant, it's an okay job and you learn a lot, but there isn't that stability you get working for the state. So I found myself more than once trying to look for a job in short period of time, just getting projects. When the projects were done within a year or 2, I would have to find another job. So I thought about it deep and hard, and I said I'm just gonna venture, apply for a state job, and I was in New York, so I applied in Connecticut, I applied in Pennsylvania, I applied all the way down to Florida. I was ready to just get something permanent, and Massachusetts gave me the opportunity, and I took a ride, came for the first interview, was called for a second interview, and I got the job right off Worcester. So I've been here for 13 years, and it's been a great experience. Yeah.
Did you start in construction section?
I started in the construction section,
Can
yes.
you talk a
'Cause-
little bit about the different sections, just sort of maybe the different sections that you have registered?
Okay, we have, within each district, we have the lab which takes care of all our materials and our certifications of, making sure that the stuff we use on the jobs are within compliance. We have a project section which they review the plans and the drawings and the projects and the use of it even before they come out to bid. There's the bridge section. We have the bridge maintenance section, which is another one. We have the maintenance, which they take care of like catch basins and drainage structures. The construction itself, when jobs come out to construction, they've been through almost every department in the district when they come to construction when they're ready to get built.
What made you like construction more than the other sections?
Well-
I hear very
Yes, I have a construction background. When I first came out from engineering school, I started working with a contractor in construction, and I liked it. So I feel very comfortable around the outdoor, and I feel comfortable around the working job sites, and I'm not afraid of heights. I put it harness and go climb on bridges, beams, and I have no problems with that, and I enjoy it, really. I enjoy seeing the projects come from the instructions, right? The plaza. Tell the kids, have instructions. Take my instructions, and at the end of the period, then you have a brand new structure, a brand new building or bridge or whatever the case may be, and you can. There's a level of satisfaction there. I like it.
So what do you think for distributing where you guys are employing new employees?
Yes, in construction, we are really short-handed. We are working way too much. So at this point where there's so much work coming out and not enough help, coming in with the desire to learn I think, is the top priority. If you have a school background in engineering, that's great, but you can start as slow as an engineering aid and build your way up. And we provide a lot of training, a lot of certifications free of charge. We really teach on the jobs, which when we get interns on the jobs, I think that's the great experience they have. They haven't seen certain things and they see it and they have a better understanding of how things work a certain way. So basically, mainly the desire to learn and the desire to follow guidance to move on within the institution more than anything. Any questions? There we go.
Outstanding. You indicated this particular section, division has a lot of sections in it.
Yeah, all the divisions have each division will have those different sections as part of the division.
Okay. And my question is concerning, it's great you have a lot of training. But for example, say students that have been into a technical training, say plumbing, electrical, whatever it may have been, and say, for example, they may be doing contracting work and may be interested in this type of this form of work. Would it be a good thing to suggest them go ahead and try and contact you and see if there's an interest? Because more or less it's like qualifications, what qualifications you do have to be. Like you have a construction background, which makes it a little smoother. But for those who may not be in a particular,
We're going to answer that question in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you
We
very
have a
much.
whole presentation on that question alone.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody have any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so to get to that part, we have a quick video that I just wanted to show. Part of what Carmen Tour does has been within the demolition of the toll wall. So I just wanted to show you, just like, you know, a little bit of a visual of the kind of work that they've actually been doing.
They did a great job.
They did it very quickly.
They did.
They're ahead of schedule.
Got my demo. Building.
And then right after this, we're going to get to the, what we call the labor service position. So we'll get to exactly what the application process is. So this is actually by the summer tunnel, but it was the same process for all of the different interchanges. So it just shows how quickly they got this done. Which is overnight, which is what's on super outside.
This is one night.
This is one that you'll see, it's a few days. If we have it all down to 4 minutes, but I wouldn't play with it, but just to give you an idea. And that one guy decided to find it.
And when you do this, you use third-party construction firms, but employees of the DOT are kind of overseeing the
Yes,
whole.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, so typically, there's a little, we contract out the project design portion. That's something that we don't do in-house. What we do is we review all the designs in-house, so we have specific engineers that does their job to review that. We go back and forth to contract firms that way. And then once those are done, we can contract out to any of the companies that will be doing any of the actual, you know, demolition or stuff like that. And you'll have people, the requirements group, who will be helping to oversee and make sure that things are all going smoothly as they are planned to, because otherwise we're not exactly sure what it's like. So it's just interesting to be able to see how quickly they're doing all this done. It was just a few days from start to finish.
The traffic is still full.
Pick a week. Make it a little busy. But it was a carefully coordinated effort, right, Carmen?
It was more coordination that they actually worked on. Because you have to keep the traffic going, move the traffic from one lane to the next lane, so you continue with the demolition of the canopies and coordinated tractor trailers going way out of the job site, bringing the pavers. It was a big operation. It was kind of neat seeing it happen. Line painting, seeing moving the traffic over again.
This construction is taking place on 190, for example, 290, is that?
That's the street three.
Sure.
Yeah, that's us.
Thank you. I don't want to assume that it could be a third party, local construction.
Well, I mean, it's contracted with some workers that come in, right? It's not just.
Well, we manage the job, we
Right,
manage the
exactly.
budget, the
Yeah.
job, and we oversee the construction. Yeah, it's a subcontract.
So, the next piece that I want to talk about is the labor service list. I'm going to invite Catherine up to give the presentation on that. I'll be here to kind of move you along with you so you can see what's in it. So, she can talk a little bit more about the difference between the labor service list position and a regular position that we propose just on the website that we normal application process.
So, let me go through a little bit. We've already discussed what MassDOT is. So we have our 4 main divisions, along with shared services. So when it comes to working for MassDOT, there are 2 ways that you would apply for a position, depending on which one it is. We hire most of our trades jobs, so like you were talking about plumbers, not electricians, but laborers, mechanics,
maintenance equipment operators, painters. There's a list of, I want to say, 28 different titles that we hire through our labor service list, which is slightly different than the process that we use to hire all of our other 3,000 employees, which is just through our website. Currently, it's at massdotstate.ma.us and /employment, and you'll follow the external applicants link as long as you're not already working for us. The civil service list was created, you've probably heard of it, not many people have actually interacted with it. It was created to make a more fair and equitable way of hiring new candidates. There are two types of civil service lists. There's the safety service, which is what most people think of when we think of firefighters, police officers, etc. And then there's the labor service, which I'll be talking about. The only safety service that is hired through MBTA when it comes to transportation in Massachusetts. They have their transit police. When it comes to the labor service, there's 3 tiers. There is the first tier that doesn't require any experience or certifications. The second tier requires 1 year of experience, and some require certain certifications and or a practical exam. And then there's the third tier, which requires 2 years of experience, and most of them will require a practical exam and or other certifications. When it comes to the hiring process, it's a little bit more complicated than just you submit your application, you get an interview, we pick whoever we want out of the interview process, whoever scored the highest for the application process. When you apply for the position online, you're put on a list of individuals in chronological order. So if I apply for it today, and if I apply to be a labor one today, and Jamie applies for it tomorrow, I'm above her on that list. When there's an opening, every single person, no matter when you applied for that, will get a letter in the mail, and it will state that there's a vacant position that you applied for, instructions on how to be considered, the maximum pay rate, any special requirements. So that's where it will say if you need a CDL or a hoisting license 2B or HVAC certification. It will also say preferred qualifications and what your civil service number is, which you never have to use, so don't worry about that. In order to be considered for the position, once you get the letter, it'll give you instructions on how to be considered. And that's when it will give you a list, usually, of offices that you can go into for MassDOT and say, hi, I'm interested in working at these locations, and you sign next to your name. And at that point, you'll also be asked to provide any certifications that are required, such as a CDL A or B or hoisting license or HVAC certification. And you'll be asked to fill out a supplemental application. If you don't have the licenses that are indicated in the letter, do not show up. I know you're taught always to show up for an interview, but if you do not have the certifications, just don't go. Because then we'll be taken, the way the procedure is written, you will be taken off of the list. If you don't go, then you'll keep your place in line. You'll just move up when other people are taken off.
So it's important for people who are in the midst of completing a certification or license that they would want to be considered for it.
So I give this presentation mostly at vocational schools. So we encourage the hiring process can take, this is one of the longer hiring processes. We don't know if we're going to be hiring labor ones this year or next year or maybe in a few years. When we do, we could be hiring 3 or we could be hiring 30. This is more of a long-term thing. So when I'm telling students, I say get your name on it. If you're over 18, get your name on the labor service list. Work towards getting the certifications. So if we happen to be putting out, if I want to be a labor 1, or no, labor 1 doesn't require any. If I want to be a motor equipment mechanic 2, and I don't have my CDLA yet, Does that make sense? It's a little confusing. Anyway, the next slide. The interview process, so interviews are given to individuals that signed that they were interested, actually went to the location, signed the list. They're given to those individuals only in the order that they completed the original application. Even if I went to, both Jamie and I signed up for the labor service list, I applied online before she did, but I didn't go to the office to sign saying that I was interested, Jamie would be more likely to get an interview than I would be. Well, I wouldn't be getting an interview. So the candidates invited to interview depends on how many openings we have. If we have 2 openings, we might invite 4 people to interview, etc. There's an algorithm that varies depending on what the position is. At the time of the interview, you'll also might be required to take a practical exam, and that will be satisfactory or unsatisfactory, and the interviews are pass or fail. Any extra things that are required, such as the practical exam, will be noted on the letter. You'll be reminded of that. The final steps, after you pass the interview process, you're given a conditional offer letter, and that is your offer letter pending completion of a driving record check, which goes back 6 years. So this is something that I stress to college students, that you are not invincible, or high school students, excuse me. You are not invincible. You just got your license. You still have to drive like you have something to live for, like being a laborer 1. A successful negative drug test, and some positions, although not many on the labor service list, do require a Corey check, which is a criminal offender record information check. And then the question that I'm sure you all are asking yourself is, why would I want to work for MassDOT? I'm going to tell you, Jamie and Carmen did a good job already, so did Sheila, but what separates us from a lot of jobs, especially when it comes to trades, is that you're guaranteed either 40 or 37.5 hours a week. You're in a union. You have a guaranteed pay rate. You have overtime where it's needed and approved, so especially during snow and ice season, you've got lots of opportunities for overtime. We have union members with bargaining rights. 95%-ish of our employees are in unions, everyone except for managers and contractors. At MassDOT, you're really encouraged to move up in the company, as Carmen did, as I did. I started working at the RMB as a driver's license examiner. I thought I was sick of working in office until I spent too long in the car with people who don't have a license every day, and I don't know how they do it. And then I went right back to that office. Try it. It's fun. It's an experience I think everyone should have. So you're really encouraged to grow up in the company. It's obviously more beneficial for us to keep people with institutional knowledge. We have MassDOT University, which provides free classes, so I'm able to take project management classes, I'm able to take free Word classes, Excel, various other, I can learn how to use my email if I'm not very good at that. There's such a wide range. I also got free CPR and AED certification earlier this year. That's why I got a little heart on my badge. And in general, you know, you're obviously making a difference in the lives of millions of travelers every day, and that gives you a warm, fuzzy feeling. In general, we have a couple other general benefits. I more stress this to high school students who haven't thought about other benefits besides a paycheck yet. These are things that not all private sector companies will provide to the extent that we do, especially working in certain areas such as customer service or trades jobs, unfortunately. This is a general example. For example, the dental, not every union has dental. My dental is covered 100% by my union. So it questions on what exactly it would be for a certain position, then we can get you in touch with our benefits department. And then lastly, I just want to touch base quickly on the MBTA. So they are, in case you are not familiar, the MBTA is a public transit system for Greater Boston that includes buses, ferries, light rail, and subway, and trains, and ferry. We have ferries. If you plan on working for the MBTA, they're also hired through 2 different ways. The trade jobs are mostly hired through union referrals, so if they're plumbers, they're electricians, mechanics are all hired. You need to be in a union prior to working for the MBTA. The unions will refer you. And then the majority of their positions are hired through the standard process online. There is a third process that they have, which is more rare. It's through the lottery system that they have for bus drivers and light rail and subway operators. That is exactly what it sounds like. It's a lottery system to determine who gets an interview. So it's pretty open. What was that? That would be great.
So for the lottery, we just completed, I say we, I'm sorry, I'm so confusing going back and forth between MassDOT and MBTA. MBTA just completed a new lottery. So what that means is that every few years they open up applications so people can apply to be a part of the lottery for the drivers and operators. And they close that, so at this point they have their new applicant pool that they're going to be working within, and they'll call people from that applicant pool to come in and go through the hiring process. If you are already in that applicant pool, you can expect to go through the hiring process where you have to come in and you have to do a practical test, you have to do a physical, you have to do a couple of other, like in the interview portion, there are a couple of different steps to it before you would go into training. The good part about those positions is you don't have to have your CDL going into them. They will train you and get your CDL for you that way. So once you're hired, you will go through that training. But unfortunately, their lottery has closed for applicants at this point, and the one previous to this was a long time ago. It was 2009, so that was too long. And so this one's 2017. They probably will have another one in another few years. So that's something where I would definitely encourage people to follow the MBTA on social media or things like that, because they definitely try to heavily publicize this when that was open. We shared it with all of our contacts to make sure that it got out there. They shared it through all of their social media accounts, through their website, and to any contacts that they had as well, to get the information out there. I believe that they also advertise on some of the buses and trains too, to make sure that people know about it. So it's a little bit just about that process. When you do start those positions, you have to start part-time. So you start part-time, and then you can get promoted to full-time. Part-time does still have benefits. It's not like a typical part-time job where you wouldn't necessarily be eligible for benefits, but it just means that you're not going to get so many hours per week. So that's a little bit about that.
So that's all that I have for the hiring process in general. I can talk a little bit more about the hiring process, or myself or Sheila can. We have a very standardized hiring process at MassDOT, partially because, fairness and equality, and also we have unions that have stipulations in their contracts. So everything is scored, at least for the union positions. It's a pretty formal process.